What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Dan back again. I know it's been a while, and to be fair, this video is a while coming, but I kind of wanted to talk about the election. Not about Trump and Biden specifically. I actually think in many ways those are slightly less important. Yes, I do think that those are still important, but not as important what else is on the ballot. You see, I know this isn't necessarily a big thing today because apparently a lot more people are turning out to vote because of the mail-in ballot stuff, or just because we're in a pandemic and people really are not happy with what's going on. And these part of voting are still very important. What I'm trying to say is that there are other things on the ballot we need to be looking at. Things that are much more local. You see, it's my opinion that a lot of people who are, and myself included, salty about like Bernie not being the one running against Trump, seem to be under this impression that the president is the end-all be-all, like it's electing king, when we forget that there's a lot of other stuff that's just as important, like voting for your senator, who's, if you're on either side, probably has their hands in the corporate cookie jar, or at least is being offered a cookie when they leave office. And I know you're like, everyone seems corrupt, but this is why the ballot thing on the local and the state stuff is important. You see, I'm of the opinion that the state and local level are the testing and training grounds for the next wave of U.S. congressional people, and even judges, and maybe even a president or secretary. In simple terms, I think that the key to actually changing this stuff, if you want to see the change, are these state and local issues. You see, if you can find a politician who's running for mayor, or there's a guy up to be elected a judge, or in my case, we're having also state assembly elections for California, and you might want to check out who's running on what policies, because a number of those people might be running in 2 to 4 years, maybe 2 to 6 years for a Senate position or congressional position, probably the latter than the former. Now, if we ensure that for instance, I'm technically registered as a Democrat. I consider myself, a liberal, and not the, as I said, the regressive stuff I've talked about in the past. But I'm for, unions, living wage, universal health care, justice reform, stuff like that. So the way I've come to realize is this training ground method and this testing ground method. Testing ground, I'll talk about later, but the local politicians, a lot of them are professional politicians. I was pointed out to me that a number of people in Los Angeles, where I live, there were a number of people who, they'll run for like state assembly, or they'll run for city council, and they'll just keep, they'll go, I'm a councilman, now I'm running this department, now I'm a councilman again. So the key is finding those people and making sure they get, and then you encourage them to say, hey, go, and I know what you're thinking. That's like just my city, or that's just my state, but you forget that we are the United States. We are a federal republic made up of 50 other republics. And if a majority of people elected to Congress are, much more aligned with Bernie Sanders than a Mitch McConnell, you're more likely to see change. And I don't mean necessarily, that's the polar opposite. I mean, someone who's for the people versus kind of like in it for themselves. I think that's what we need to do. We need to begin electing these people. Plus, here comes the testing ground part. I actually think that this election also has a chance to test many of the ideas that people want on a national level. When I was growing up, I remember we legally recognized same-sex marriage in California. What did that do? Well, because California, Washington, Oregon, all over started recognizing it, there was able to make a challenge in the Supreme Court, which a Burgerfeld versus, I can't remember the exact case. It happened, God, it's like 5 years ago, or we saw federally recognized same-sex marriage. And I believed, like, for instance, marijuana is doing that same way. California, Oregon, all that stuff, that's going to spread. So I think in that case, that's proof of that's the strategy. We need to groom the next generation of much more forward-thinking politicians. And we can use these, the state to test things like, certain social programs. And if they work, you can say, hey, this stuff works here. And we take it up to the state and then eventually to the federal level, or even go from local to the federal. I mean, it is possible, but these are great proof of concepts. If you do things and it shows to work, you can say, I have evidence. Oh, you're going to claim that, too much money might, but look, it proved to work. The thing is, as I said, we need to elect the people who are going to do that, and today is the day. You find the people on the ballot who are running for positions that, let's say you find someone who's a progressive or maybe like left moderate, elect them. People who are more populist as opposed to corporatist, elect them. And then if they run for Congress or a judge seat or whatever, you make sure they get voted in next time they're running for something, or you make sure they get reelected in their position because they're doing a good job if they're not running for a higher office. That's the key. It's making sure these people are basically, you find the best and you make sure they continue. This way there's more of them than there are of the more, conservative, again, against her, but the more corporatist, the more anti-populist people. And I think that is, again, whether you're watching this on November 3rd, 2020, or watching it later, this is still a valid thing. We still need to elect people on the state and local level that will, again, be the rising stars for the midterm, the next general, and the next midterm after that, and anything in between. We need to make sure that we got to excise the corruption from as a grassroots thing. I think this is one thing that Bernie made me realize. Oh, grassroots. Sorry, I don't got the plague. I just drank something. Anyway, I'm done with this video. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe, and just leave a comment. And I'll see you guys later. And I promise the next video will be a higher production. But for now, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.